Welcome to our podcast. Let's see what happens. And this podcast features two women with ADHD, and we talk about our life choices, maybe shed some light on life with ADHD, perhaps inspire. Probably not, though. Okay. What would you say you do here?
Hi, Natalie.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't you just do a little preface in how you managed to end up here this morning? Because it is very much ADHD related.
I agree, Natalie. I like the phrase how I managed to end up here because I feel like I was just tumbling through the universe and ended up here on this Zoom with you. So I was at work and we are interviewing a candidate for a new position. And so the team went out for a dinner/final interview. Culture is really important to us. So we go out for dinner and I'm training for a big race. And so I was like, I'm not going to drink. That flew out the window immediately. Like I walked into the house where we were having a happy hour and someone was like, do you want to drink?
You're like, that version of me just died. And now I'm on
Right.
to the party version.
Now I think it's important to note where I was working yesterday was like an hour and a half away from my home. And so the whole time I knew I was going to have to drive back home after this work event. And I was like, that's fine. I'll just have a glass of wine right now and then I'll sober up and then I'll drive home. Fast forward 4 hours. We've now finished dinner and my car is back at my boss's house. And I then get in someone else's car, drive back to the house, fully intending to drive home. At this point, I'm sober. And my boss and his wife, who are wonderful people, they were like, why are you going home? That seems really dumb. You should just stay here. We have a lovely house filled with beautiful art. Why don't you just stay here, have a nightcap, and have an art tour? And I was like, sounds great, except I have to record this podcast at 6 a.m. So is there a space where I could be incredibly chaotic and have a chaotic Zoom experience? And they're like, absolutely. There's a whole office out back. You could just hang out there. We'll give you the Wi-Fi code. Here's a nightcap. I wake up this morning at like 5:30 in my boss's house.
Not weird.
They have a little wall where people sign when they stay in that room. And so I take it upon myself to write a little haiku this morning. And now we're here, having figured out how to Zoom and record and do all of the things because the past self that had set up this situation, she's dead. I might live in this little room now.
They're like, do you want to stay? And you're like, you actually had me at, do you want to drink? I thought you would never invite me. I've been sitting here waiting for you to invite me for a sleepover. Sleepover.
The haiku referenced an impromptu sleepover. I also had to call my partner, Eric, and be like, Eric, they're inviting me to stay. Should I stay? He was like, yes, if they're inviting you, you should say yes.
You're like, also, if they invite me to write something in the morning, what's a haiku?
No, I know that.
Dude, you were winning.
I'm also in the same clothes that I worked in yesterday. They had to give me a toothbrush, like all the things. I had nothing. I just drove down here hours ago and had a whole work day. Oh, and then I even showed up to the party that we were having, the dinner thing. They were having an hour late because I didn't understand. I thought that nobody had left the office and I was waiting for everyone to leave the office to go to this thing. I roll in like an hour late with this ridiculous story about how I was waiting for them. They're all already at the party and now I'm still here a day later.
It's like a great work walk of shame.
Yes, I am in a very tasteful dress and nice earrings.
Yes, you are. You look amazing.
Thanks.
Okay, so today, without further ado, we're talking about fairies. Perhaps not the fairies that you think, because these are fairies that we rely on.
Deeply.
As people, I cannot emphasize enough how many fairies I need just to get through my daily life. This is for people who have ADHD. Doing anything is kind of hard. Plus, I feel like we live in this really magical world where we just assume really good things happen to us. And so, yes, they do. And so instead of assuming that, oh, people do things for us, we're just like, oh, they just get done and the world loves us. And that's why it works out. Turns out we have all these people who are just like doing shit for us every day just to make sure we live.
So we don't die. Yeah.
And we call them fairies.
We are so grateful for them. You might be listening to this and you might be a fairy, but know that we see you and appreciate you.
If you are a fairy, you are going to need to explicitly tell us what fairy tasks you're doing, because otherwise we will assume it's just magic. You have a great fairy story to start off with, which I love.
So as many people know, how when you have ADHD, you hyperfixate on things. And about 10 years ago, I started hyperfixating on plants. And let me just tell you, Natalie, I really don't understand how you do it as a parent because I fixated on plants, which are living things. And now 10 years later, there's still a lot of them that are alive, but so many have died.
Well, to be fair, my kids are only 6 and 8, so I still have at least 2 years to fuck it up.
You're doing great. You're
Thanks.
60 to 80% of the way there. I hyperfixate on plants. I take a bunch of cuttings from work. I learn how to root them. And now my house is like a jungle. There's like hundreds and hundreds of plants all over my house. And I'm like, this is great. It's like the outside has come in. And every now and then a plant would die. And my excuse was, it's just its time. Like the plant died of old age. I just had this belief that when the plant was ready to be done, it would just die. And then that was it. And we enjoyed each other's company for some time. So when Eric and I moved in together, my office became the dumping ground for all of the plants. And then I also, because I have an office with a lot of plants, other people, when they get rid of plants, they just put them in my office thinking, oh, she must like plants because she has all these plants. They don't realize that this was a hyperfixation that started 10 years ago that now I'm just trapped underneath. And there's vines that are like miles long that are just circling around my office. I keep stuffing them back into the plant pots.
Also, just reference your amazing hyperfixation that didn't last 2 weeks, it lasted years. I would say that's like a dedicated practice to plants because I also went through a hyperfixation phase on plants where I did all the rooty things and tried to cut the stems, and I suck at it. And as soon as I was bad at it, I was like, well, this is dumb. Later plants, and all of mine got killed.
Well,
So who knows to you? My God.
right. Yeah. I think the hyperfixation lasted long enough for me to actually accidentally learn how to take care of some plants. And so now I am aware that plants need water. But here's the thing, I don't have a concept of time. It doesn't exist for me. When was the last time I watered that plant? I don't know. I could have literally watered it moments ago and I would have no idea. I'd have to touch the soil and be like, well, seems like it's fine.
We good then.
Plant came from a cutting on another office plant. It's never been in a jungle. No part of that plant's family has ever seen a jungle. But in my mind, I'm like, it doesn't need light because it used to live on the jungle floor. It's fine. Or like, oh, that plant definitely needs light because it looks like a plant that would live in the Sahara Desert. And so I'm going to put it in a bright, bright window that might be scorching it. Who knows? I just decide.
Not all plants are created equal. There's one Sahara environment. There's maybe a swampy environment, like a jungle.
Yeah. Now, do those plant environments actually correlate to what the plants need? I
It
do not
doesn't
know.
matter. That's not the point. The point is that you thought about it and made a really good decision, and now you have multiple climates in one climate.
Yeah, which turns out is kind of problematic because my office is, I don't know, 8 by 4 and not a large space. It is a giant window that gets baked by sun. With the office itself, like its own little terrarium, right? Like I work in this giant office building with glass walls everywhere. So like I'm in a terrarium. All my plants are in a terrarium. So I bring all of these plants to my office. My office is now overflowing with a jungle of plants. But I have ADHD, or as I like to call it in the workplace, I thrive in novel environments, which basically means when will I be in my office? Who knows? I could be there 7 days in a row. I could be there not at all for 2 weeks. I like move my office space. Sometimes I'm in an office. Sometimes I'm at home. Sometimes I'm seeing people out in the world. I'm never in the same place for more than 8 seconds. Reference how I ended up recording this podcast from an office outside my boss's house.
I mean, no one's going to be like, she's lying. You're like, we just told the story about how you ended up in a random environment, which again is just basically your life is, let's see what happens.
Happens. So I bring all the plants in, and I'll tell you, Natalie, they are thriving for like months. These plants are in my office and they're like growing and they're thriving. And every time I'd show up at the office at random times when people are like, you coming in today? And I'm like, I'm working from Antarctica. No. And the plants are just so happy. And I'm like, wow, all of that pre-planning, all of those thoughts about the environment, and where they need to be. And I'm like patting myself on the back every day, being like, I'm so good at plants.
You're basically a botanist. Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a botanist now. Okay. I just bring plants to a place and make thrive. And
I'd
so
also say it's probably that you're a botanist and just your personality. Like the plants want to live. You motivate them to live.
they're hanging on, waiting for me to arrive into the office so that we can commune together. So, and people are commenting on how great my plants look. And I'm like, I know. I'm so good at plants. I bring them in there and then they just thrive. They just thrive because I'm amazing and the plants are amazing and I understand their environments. And then one day, a colleague shows up and it's like, oh my God, isn't it so nice that Allison's been watering your plants
Picture glass shattering all around you.
for months? I had no idea. I legit thought that I was just so good at plants. And the 8 droplets of water that I would sprinkle on them randomly from my water bottle once every 8 weeks was the perfect amount that I had divined the perfect system for plants. No, I didn't. I had a fairy. I had a plant fairy at my office that I didn't even know existed who was going in there and keeping the fucking plants alive for me. So thanks, Allison. Really nailed it.
There's a couple of things going on here, which I think are amazing. Starting again, just circling back, the hyperfixation, which lasted enough time where you learn something and you're continuing it 10 years later. The fact that you have multiple plant environments within one office environment is incredible.
Let's be clear. I don't know if I actually have multiple different environments.
I'm sure you don't, but the fact that you think you do deserves some credit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then again, just thinking that your existence is enough to keep something alive is so magical unto itself. You're like, you know what? These plants love me so much that they want to live. Do they need water? I mean, not really. My plants are resilient. Do they need sun? I mean, they're pretty good. Some of them do, some of them don't. They just sort of exist because they just love living for me. That is the magical world we live in. Never once would you be like, wow, I wonder who's taking care of these plants in weeks, but they look great.
I also found out, so I don't have object permanence because ADHD. I would like eat things in the office and I would just put down a bowl and then it would just disappear. It would disappear from my field of vision and it would be gone. And then one day I'd show back up and the bowl would return and it would return clean. And I was like, there must be like a cleaning crew or something that comes in and takes these dishes and cleans them and then brings them back. Also, Allison. Yeah. There's a dish fairy and there's a plant fairy. Had no idea.
There's a team of fairies. It's a fairies. What's amazing about it is that you have these plants and dishes. So like you eat, and totally forget about it.
Gone.
And then it comes back clean. And instead of being like, oh, someone must have taken that and washed it for me, that's so kind. You're like, wow, I am such an amazing person that my dishes, they don't want to be dirty anymore. Something happens and they just show up clean.
It shows
It's just incredible. To reality, nope, not even a thread.
No.
No, that was magic.
Welcome to the magic of ADHD.
Yes, it is very magical. When I lived in Colorado, we would keep our car outside. I have a fairy story for you. And every time it snowed, my husband would go out and clean off the car. We had 2 cars. And every time it snowed, I would go outside and be like, I can't believe my car just, this is a literal thought, which makes me probably seem very unintelligent, which could totally be the case. Walk outside every time it snowed, and I'd be like, I can't believe the snow never gets on my car. It's amazing. Finally, I had the audacity to say this out loud to my husband. And I was like, can you believe that the snow just never gets on my car? And he was like, wait, what? And I was like, look, every time it snows, there's no snow on my car. And he was like, Natalie, I do that. I'm like, wait, sorry. He's like, I clean off your car every time it snows.
Broke his brain.
It broke his brain.
Shattered.
I have totally broken his brain.
Just like the terrarium shattered.
Yeah,
Yes. Crumbled into pieces.
you just can't put that back together.
I also, cars are really advanced. I think we can all agree there's a lot happening in there. There's like heated seats. There's all kinds of buttons to press that who knows what half of them do. I can see a world where we're making cars that just the snow just melts off of it.
Yeah, I chose to choose that there is a fairy, and it was magical. But going back to this magical world, the first thought that I have when things work out for me is not like, "Oh, I wonder what realistic thing did that." I'm like, "Ooh, magic." Every time, every time. So, yeah. And you know what else happened, which is within this magical realm, is I used to live in Boston with a roommate, and she got this boyfriend, and apparently we had the same toothbrush. I didn't know. So, I am living for months, like 2 or 3 months, and my toothbrush, because he would spend the night and use his toothbrush, which I thought was my toothbrush. I probably lost my toothbrush because apparently we only had one between us. I'm like, well, where does this go? My toothbrush. My toothbrush keeps getting moved. And instead of being like, wow, I must be using someone else's toothbrush, I'm like, that's so weird. We must have a ghost, was my thought. And I'm living with this, and I'm like, God, we have this toothbrush ghost. And this is like a real reality that I am living in. And finally, I say to my roommate, I'm like, guys, I think we have, like, very serious, because ghosts are serious and I don't want ghosts around. I was like, hey, I think we have a toothbrush ghost. And my two roommates were like, I'm sorry, Natalie, what? And I was like, well, every time I use my toothbrush, it's in a different place. And my roommate with the boyfriend was like, can you go show me what toothbrush you've been using? I'm like, yes. So I go into the bathroom and I'm like, this. And she was like, that's not your toothbrush. It's my boyfriend's toothbrush. And I was like, wait, so there's no toothbrush ghost? And like, what am I doing?
My favorite part about this is that not only it was half your toothbrush, half of that definitely your toothbrush because you were using it and thus it became yours.
I don't know his actual words because I think I probably blacked it out because I was so shocked that there wasn't a toothbrush ghost that my reality was just totally shattered. And then my next thought was, of course, wow, I've been sharing a toothbrush with basically a random dude for months.
Guys, we're so much closer than you thought.
We really were.
It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you explain your reality to someone and then the world just comes crashing in and we're not all sharing that reality. That's just mine. But in a really good reality, there's like fairies and funny little ghosts that only play with toothbrushes and
Yeah.
clean off floors. It's a magical world. Like you guys should just come in here. But can you imagine if they did? But nothing would happen.
Nothing would ever get done because we'd all be waiting around for these fairies.
So fairies, we thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Keeping our lives together, keeping our plants alive, brushing off our cars. And they do. This happens probably 5 times a day. We're at our max and we're very happy in this magical world. Don't pull me out. Even if you tried to pull me out, which you have, I will sit there and argue with you that actually, no, you didn't clean off my car. That just happens for me. The snow just doesn't want to be on my car.
Doesn't want to be there.
Just doesn't want to. Unless I see the fairy doing it. Come on.
No.
Let's not give yourself too much credit here. So that is the world of fairies. Okay, we had to come back because something magical has happened.
So turns out there's all kinds of fairies, including Zoom fairies. Natalie stopped recording. And then we went on a little scavenger hunt for like, where's the recording? And I opened Zoom and there's a big thing that says recordings. And when you click on it, it showed that it was processing. The recording was processing. And this is like a magical digital fairy.
Which is even more amazing because Deeley was somewhere else today, naturally. I am on her Zoom. She's also on her Zoom, I think.
Yeah.
So we're both her. Instead of one of us being me, it just says Natalie didn't show. So I'm in charge of recording, but I can't figure out if it's processing, where it's saved. I have no information.
Imagine 2 people trying to walk, but one of them has a right leg and one of them has a left leg, but they're really committed to walking down the street.
Not pretty. Well, we'll get there. And we did. You're welcome, world.